Aha! This is Laborc, and it is so nice to have you here. These are the paints you need. I primed the snake persons with grey cere. Our first base coat will be LEVIADON blue. Try to be precise because we need clean separation between the sections. You paint the shoulders, the back, some of the forearm, and all the parts with scales. LEVIADON blue has great coverage, so you can do this in one coat. Papa Laborc believes in. Also, to keep your painting process fast, when you are using contrast paint or any similar product like SPEEDPAINT, Instant Color or washes in general, use a hairdryer to speed up the process. Now, Blood Angels Red for the head and for the inside of the mouth. You can be generous with it, it will also act as a recessed shade on the wrinkles of the head. Apply some blue tone for the rest of the unpainted areas except for the end of his tail or end of his body, because this is a snake man, which is basically a dog but with scales, and it's some sort of reptile dog. You know what I mean. And dogs also end with their tail, so it was the perfect analogy. Paint the top of the hands with Evil Sun Scarlet, but not the palms. You leave those with bluish tint, otherwise your tiny hands could also get some bluish tint from bruises. Also, use base layer consistency. Blend together the blue and the red parts with some glazing. Or if you prefer wet blend, you can go for that because there is enough space for that. Because glazing red over blue might take a couple of layers and you can cut the painting time here with wet blending. I don't mind glazing, so it's up to you. If you're cool, you're gonna glaze it. That's all I'm saying. Alright, so when it's nice and smooth like Granny's butt cheek, then paint his clothes and talons black. Base layer consistency. And did you see any Mickey Mouse yet? No? Okay, so let's keep it this way. With Administratum Grey, fix the pale blue parts if you stain them with red, or maybe the blue tone pulled up a bit too much. Correct those parts as well, and also paint the teeth and the lips with this color. With Ivory, we highlight the pale blue parts of the skin. I sketched out the highlights like the light is coming from the right side, and the center part of the chest blocks the light to the other part. Highlight the palms and try to place your highlights smart. I'm not going to glaze this one. I know it's a shocker, but this way you can see how color can blend naturally, if you choose them right. Now for the red highlights. I use Wild Rider Red. Cover 80% of the red surface with this color. Try to follow the shapes, but break it into sections like I do on the hands. You don't want to lose the darker parts because that way I will slap on your tiny hand. With Troas Layer Orange, I increase the contrast and bring more warmth to the colors. As you see, it's more of a heavy glaze than a base layer consistency, but it's more of a layering. Or maybe layering is glazing too. Use 2 layers to increase the opaqueness of the color, and remember, everything is glazing. And glazing is life. For the final highlight, I use Sunny Skin Tone. Tiny dots just to get that shiny skin effect. Heavy glaze consistency and the red parts are finished. Now Drybrush some Techless blue on the scaly part. Say we use Drybrush too, so this is SPEEDPAINT, okay? Okay. Wet your Drybrush a tiny bit to prevent creating the dusty look. Then use Lothern blue and gradually decrease the area. Do this gently, no hard pressure on the brush. Then add some ice yellow to the Lothern blue and try to dry brush the scales from the opposite direction so you will get a nice and fast edge highlight. Your brush can be really dry for that, and angle your brush carefully. Now we repeat the process without the dry brush for the rest of the blue skin. The shoulder, forearm and the back. Okay, we are glazing a bit, but it's only one coat, and one coat technically doesn't count as glazing. Then with Lothern blue, we increase the highlights. Tiny parts, and please try not to stain the other skin parts with this color, because the waiting list for a new pair of tiny hands is super long and Papa Labors don't want to put your name on that list. Now one coat of glazing again. Paint the eyes black, then cover them with Lothern blue, and then make a tiny stripe with black. If you don't know how to shape your brush to get pointy, then Papa Labors will show you. Get some paint on your brush and then twist it on your hand until it's nice and pointy and the excess paint will be removed. How beautiful my hands are, it's unbelievable. You need base layer consistency so your paint won't be runny and you will have a nice control over it. Also, if you watched the previous Griffon tutorial and you achieved the Papa title, then you must also make a tiny dot between the iris and the blue part. If you haven't achieved the Papa title yet, then stop the video, watch the Griffon tutorial and come back and you can do this, okay? My winking got a lot better. Add some Wild Rider red to his mouth membrane thingy to make it a bit more organic. We dry brush some more with blue horror to increase the contrast of the scales. The dry brush is actually super dry this time. Lastly, we paint the tail ring with greedy gold and give it a nice wash with Agrax Earthshade. Now we also have a leader, and this time the leader is a bit different, so let's paint him too. Cover the leader skin with Blood Angel's red, but leave the belly and the chest parts grey. We cover those parts with soft tone. Also, if you want to vote which mini should Papa Labors paint next, you can do that on Patreon, where you can have early access to the videos and other nice rewards. We cover the belly with soft tone. Don't leave anything grey and don't drench the mini, it will leave dark stains and you'll end up with a patchy look and with a slap on your tiny hand. We use the same method like we did with the regular Naga's red parts. Sketch the highlights with Evil Sun Scarlet. Everything that is facing upward, we cover that with Wild Rider red. Gradually decrease the highlight areas with that color. The ratios of the highlight areas are just as same like before with the small Nagas. If you nail those parts, this will be easy peasy. If not, then it will be slappy painy on your tiny hands, but practice makes perfect, and with the guidance of Papa Labors you cannot fail. As you see, I use the same consistency for the Trust layer orange as I used before, so you might need 2 layers to have a nice opacity with the color. But believe me, it's worth it and it doesn't take that much time. Same process with sunny skin tone as well. I only show these parts because if you need help with highlight placement, you can just copy these and you will end up with a nice snake skin. Paint the eyes with ivory and paint Iria yellow over them. No tiny white dot this time, because bright yellow and white have some difference in value, of course, but with a tiny eye like that, the white part won't be visible as much. Dry brush the evil suns on the scaly parts, then decrease the highlight area with the Wild Rider red and add a touch of Trust layer orange. We fixed the pullings of the soft tone with Morghast bone. That rhymed nicely. This bony color will blend in pretty good with our soft tone accented belly skin, so you can use base layer consistency and still get a smooth finish. And we did it without glazing. Nice, huh? Yeah, I know it would have been better if we had glazed some, but that's okay, it's speed paint. We continue the highlight process with Screaming Skull. It has a bit more white in it. Try to use it more next to the head and on the palm to create some focal points. For the chest and the membrane on its head, use some ivory. Tiny areas and the skin is done. Paint the back of his pet snake Blood Angels red. Snake with a pet snake. Does the pet snake realize that he is just a pet to the big guy? Or it's like his child or something? Maybe it's gonna grow arms later. Or he won't have any because it's a different species. So many questions. Anyway, make a stripe all the way on its back with Night Lord's blue. And finding out how this little guy folds, it's a tiny challenge, but I'm sure you will handle this perfectly. Also, try not to stain our finished big snake guy skin, because then I have to slap on your tiny hand and you need to fix it. So be precise, and you will save yourself a ton of time. But it's okay, mistakes happen. By people with aching red hands, paint the belly with blue tone. You can go easy with it, this way you have less chance to stain the big guy. Highlight small parts with Darknes blue. We want this dark stripe to read as dark blue. So don't make the Darknes blue areas too big, otherwise it will read as bright blue. Then increase the contrast with a tiny bit of Lotan blue glaze, so it will look like some shiny snake skin. Increase the contrast of the red skin with some heavy glaze of Wild Rider red. And then paint the pet snake eyes black and make a tiny white dot on them. And there you go, guys. Snake people painted. These guys took like 40 minutes per snake, except for the leader because that little snake had some extra work, but of course you can just leave him painted one color like red or blue or something, and that will save you some time. Thank you for joining me in this little painting adventure. Also, super big thank you for my lovely Patreons who decided to support Papa Laborts and these kind of videos. And a special shout out for Jonathan Rhodes! Thank you. You can also support Papa Laborts for free by subscribing to the channel and liking the video and leave some nice comments for Papa Laborts to read. Also, if you ever followed one of my tutorials, please send me the results through Instagram, because I would love to see them. Now, I hope the rest of your day will be as smooth as a granny's butt cheek. The chair is making less noises.